The White House says commanders are confident that ISIS will soon fall in their de facto capital. Deputy Assistant to President Trump, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, spoke exclusively with One America's Trey Yingst to discuss the Trump administration's involvement in that operation.
All right. Dr. Gorka, I'd like to thank you for joining us today on One America News. I'd like to start by talking about the fight against the Islamic State. The Trump administration advising and assisting Kurdish troops on the ground looking to recapture the ISIS-controlled cities of Raqqa and Mosul. Some are saying that the operation to recapture Mosul is almost just days away from being finished. Could you take us through how the administration has been involved and what the president is doing to ensure stability in the Middle East?
Right, so absolutely. We have been committed since January the 20th, since the president came in as commander-in-chief, to destroy, to obliterate ISIS. We are just a very short time away from liberating Mosul. We're going to wait for the prime minister to make that statement, but we are very, very happy that thanks to our local partners, including the Kurds, thanks to our advisors, thanks to the support we have been supplying, that we've just had the prime minister declare that the so-called caliphate of ISIS is no more, but we will continue to assist with our partners until ISIS is eradicated from the whole of Iraq.
What has the coordination been like with the Prime Minister of Iraq, Haider al-Abadi, since January 20th?
Much better than with his predecessors. So we have an administration in Baghdad that understands the existential threat of ISIS, not only to the region writ large, but also to the security and the stability of their own nation. So we are very glad to see that change coming out of Baghdad, which makes things like the liberation of Mosul possible.
There's been a lot of conversations here in Washington and really around the world about what happens in Mosul and Raqqa the day that both of those cities are liberated. Is there a plan from the Trump administration, a contingency plan, when those cities are liberated? Will U.S. troops stay there? Will other troops stay there? Or will we continue to support Kurdish troops in the region?
Great. So this is a very important question. Permit me not to give away the operational details of our plans. That's the kind of thing the last administration did. Not a good idea when you're playing poker, nor a good idea when you're doing military operations. So, of course, we have a plan, but the key is not to clear these areas of the jihadists, but to maintain the stability of those areas afterwards, and then for the local actors to govern those areas properly. So that will be the real test. The military part of this formula is just a part of it. It will be a success when those areas are cleared and held by local partners.
Yesterday, we heard from the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, about potential Russian involvement moving forward to ensure stability in not only Iraq, but also Syria. Tomorrow, President Trump will be meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Do you believe that the Russians will be involved working with the United States moving forward to ensure that terror is eradicated from the region?
We would like to be able to collaborate with Russia on key issues of mutual interest, such as radical Islamic terrorism or ISIS. The ball right now is very much in the Kremlin's court. The relations have been suboptimal. However, as Secretary Tillerson just recently stated, these are the most powerful nuclear nations in the world. We should have better relations. We would like to do so, but in a relationship, it's up to both sides. So we shall see.
On Friday, will President Trump ask Russian President Vladimir Putin to work with him to develop safe zones for civilians in the region?
I'm not going to steal the president's thunder, nor would it be right for me to give his talking points away in advance. But I think the reasonable supposition is that we will have things to discuss of mutual concern, and we would like to see a more positive attitude coming out of the Kremlin with regards to questions such as the future of Syria and the Assad regime and the jihadi threat in general.